Hey guys, Danny with Danny Gustin Fitness Podcast here with my co-host, Nico Dato.
Hello.
Hey, so our digital marketing manager told us we have to do a intro bio kind of thing for our first video, talking a little bit about our history, certifications, interests, passions, etc. So I think we'll just kind of go back and forth here.
Yeah.
So I'll go first. My history, I started off as a personal trainer about 12 years ago. I had so many jobs before I was a personal trainer. I was a lost sheep just trying to find my way. And so I ended up speaking with a mentor who knew I loved fitness, knew I loved people. And so I ended up signing up with the National Personal Training Institute. It's one of the only personal training trade schools in the country. It was in Lisle, but based out of Chicago. I absolutely fell in love with it, creating programs, customizing programs to people, their goals, and loved just getting to know people. That's still to this day one of my absolute favorite part of personal training and coaching is getting to know people and hearing about their families, what makes them tick, everything. It's definitely one of the most rewarding parts of what we do. And so I worked for a local gym. I got a lot of experience there, and eventually I ended up starting my own business where I operate out of the Anytime Fitness in Naperville here. And Nico was one of our first hires who really stood out as someone who really embodied a lot of our values. He made me believe. I kind of vacillated back and forth about managing other trainers, and there's so many knuckleheads out there, and Nico is he embodies everything. And I've learned so much from him too, as far as his own values, and he's really helped me shape my own philosophies even further. And so Nico's been a crucial part of our team here, and it was a few months back that Nico and I could basically just sit down for 2 seconds and start talking about the meaning of life. So
Pretty much.
So we're always having these deep conversations,
Yeah.
and maybe for a year or two we've been saying, hey, dude, we should start a podcast. And then one day we just decided to do it.
Yep.
So here we are, and so that's a bit about my history. Nico, you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, so I started off also within the fitness industry in smaller gyms in Oswego where I live. And I actually started off, it was actually at a Planet Fitness when I first started getting into training, because I was already in fitness working at the front desk of the gym. And one of the trainers that was currently the trainer there ended up saying, like, you know a lot about fitness and you care about people and helping them, so you should apply to the position when I leave. And so he got me to do that. That's basically how I started getting into training. And then from there, I bounced between a couple different gyms until I basically ended up here. And again, like he said, like the values, matching with values with the coworkers like him and the owner of the gym. And I ended up then expanding on my certifications, like getting a more accredited certification like NASM. I had a certification prior, but it was more of like a beginner one. So I ended up going into other certifications. And
for those who don't know, NASM is the National Academy of Sports Medicine. It's a very, very well-respected, nationally accredited certification for personal training. So if you currently work with a personal trainer and he has a NASM cert, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. So from there, a lot of different growth between working here and just personal growth within my business, and expanding on everything I've learned from both Danny here and the other trainers as we continue to grow. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Just working on learning more and continuing what I do.
It's kind of cool that both of our how we got into this kind of was a bit of a chance story.
Yeah.
Right. I'm having lunch with a mentor. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of bouncing between different restaurants and car dealerships. And, I'm a hard worker, but just, again, lost sheep. Hadn't really found what it was that was my thing. And then he mentioned that. And then for some reason, I'm like, I really should check that place out. I checked it out. Signed up within a week.
It's like another person influenced to some degree.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, it's kind of like
both of
I'm
us.
just here, and then all of a sudden, right? Just
Small things can change trajectory.
like the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden someone quits.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, here we are, right? So a little bit about my certifications. I started off with my certification through the National Personal Training Institute, and that came with a basic nutrition coaching certification at the time. And then I ended up getting certified separately through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, like Nico here. Again, it's a great certification. It's great for all personal trainers, as well as just giving you a foundation to create programs with science and experience backing what you do. And then eventually there's a lot of different branch off programs through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and one of them is the corrective exercise certification, which, for those who don't know, that's an amazing certification. It's kind of the bridge between physical therapy and personal training. So obviously we're not physical therapists, but it qualifies you to identify muscular imbalances, which essentially just means the joints are meant to be in a state of balance. So let's say your shoulder, for example. The pec and the shoulder and the lats, the rotator cuff, the scapular muscles, they're all meant to work in a certain way. And when they don't work in that way, it can stress the joint, like the shoulder, for example, which can manifest in pain. It can manifest in tightness. It can manifest even in weakness and a lack of performance. And so corrective exercise specialists are able to identify those muscular imbalances and help create programs around that. So again, that's kind of why I see it as the bridge between physical therapy and personal training. It's not quite to address pain as much as it is just to help prevent it, right?
Exactly.
Like build the roof before it rains.
Yes.
This is what I like to think about it as. And so it's an amazing certification. And then from there, I also got a weight loss specialist certification, which was one of my favorites because it is a bit more psychological in nature. It's a lot of behavioral coaching. And so it really teaches people how there is a connection between everything, essentially, right? So for example, one person might be saying, hey, I am overeating at night. And that's what we've identified as the reason why they're having a hard time losing weight. Well, if you reverse engineer that, maybe someone less experienced who maybe doesn't have that experience with or that education as far as the behavioral coaching might just say, okay, well, let's design ideas and programs around not overeating at night. But someone with more behavioral coaching background can say, okay, well, why are you overeating at night? And they go, oh, well, I'm hungry. And I go, okay, well, let's look at the rest of your day. Oh, okay, it turns out you're actually not really eating a big breakfast or lunch, right? And then, so you're just starving by the end of the day. And then you come to find out the reason why they are not eating breakfast is because they're waking up too late. And the reason why they're not waking up early enough is because they're watching electronics too late at night and they're buzzing up their brain and they're just not sleeping well. So it's like you may need to help this person learn how to turn off the electronics the night before in order to stop overeating the next night, right?
To get to that goal that they first had.
Yeah.
Those underlying things.
And I love that part, and similar to the corrective exercise stuff, because it's like a puzzle.
It is, yeah.
And so it really is fascinating. It's interesting in so many ways. And the most recent certification I got, I mentioned earlier that I had a basic nutrition coaching certification, but I just got a more advanced one. So my title is now technically a licensed nutrition coach. And so that really qualifies me to do deeper dives into how people are eating, not from a medical standpoint of like, hey, you have diabetes, this is how to eat, but pretty much the ins and outs of weight loss, maximizing muscle growth, and just general health. And it's really, really been cool because it's one thing to have the information and just have it, but applied knowledge is really the key, right? Knowing how to apply that. And I would say that's one of the biggest things I've learned from my more advanced nutrition coaching certification is just how you can apply all of these different bits of information, because there's already so much information, right? It's not as if people need more. Sometimes it's how to consolidate that information in a way that's effective for the person.
Absolutely.
So those are my certifications.
So yeah, I started also getting into National Academy of Sports Medicine with they just call it Certified Personal Trainer, which is the regular personal training certification. And then from there, I also, since Danny talked highly of it, the corrective exercise certification. Prior to that, I had a TRX certification, which is a suspension trainer. And then after that, I was continuing with personal training. So I was realizing how much I was loving over the past, it would be like 10 years, maybe even like 11 or 12, I think. The connection with people and learning more about them and their lives. It helped me to realize that I also wanted to get into maybe some other sort of, kind of like you actually with behavioral coaching or life coaching, because I got a spiritual life coach certification, which is a life coach, as well as, some deeper stuff with like life purpose, anything spiritual related really. And what caused me to get into that was just searching for deeper meaning within my life. Not that I was searching for something. It is just always something that has interested me to constantly want to evolve and grow as a person. So that's what got me into more of that spiritual coaching, as well as a life purpose coach certification. Because working with people so often over the years, I realized a lot of people kind of struggle with that, with finding purpose, finding things that fulfill them. So that was kind of an extension of the regular life coaching, spiritual life coaching certification, where I can get that as well. Kind of how corrective exercise goes hand in hand with like the regular coaching, personal training. So that's where I'm at now in terms of certifications, outside of like CPR and stuff like that. But
yeah, we are CPR certified. Just want to
have all these, and then
before we get audited or something, we're definitely CPR AED certified. So the last thing is interests and passions. So I would just say, as far as my interests and passions go, I, like Nico just mentioned, having an interest in growth. Mm-hmm. That's one of the most important values to me personally. I am far from perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I struggled in school. I struggled in general the first 20 years of my life, 20, even really until I became a personal trainer in many ways. It was not until I found something that I was actually really good at and loved and could pour myself into that I really started to grow as a person. And so a lot of the things I enjoy are around that. Like I like doing jiu-jitsu because it's just Brazilian jiu-jitsu. There's always a growth element to it. It's almost like playing chess. You learn this, they learn that. They've countered me. Now I need to learn the counter to the counter, or maybe I need a whole new bag of tricks. And it's physically exerting, and it just feels great. You end up getting out of there just feeling so easygoing. Someone could cut you off in traffic, and you're just like, whatever, right? I have a family. I have 2 children, my wife and 2 kids, and my 2 boys, Brennan and Jamie. And that's a big part of what I do outside here. Can't you see the bags under my eyes? But no, I absolutely love being with my family and just watching them grow. It's just amazing. It's a completely fulfilling thing. Definitely stressful at times, but I absolutely adore my family and wouldn't have it any other way. I do like playing chess. I mentioned chess. These guys have seen me
in the break room.
Speaking of not being cool as a cucumber and getting cut off in traffic and just being like whatever, that actually does the opposite for me. So I don't know why I do that to myself, but those are a couple of things there. And of course, I love spending time with my extended family too. My parents live in the Naperville area with my sister and my nephew. And so just spending time with my loved ones, with friends, family, that's just what makes me tick. As long as I feel I'm growing and I'm connecting with the world around me and the people who are the most important to me, then I'm good. That's what life's all about for me.
Yeah, same with me. Really big into family, being with people you love. I love to, my whole life is focused around self-growth. So I'm really big in just staying active, whether that's like weight training, because that's super important for anybody, or, hiking, I like to travel a lot. So seeing new places, that really fulfills me. And outside of that, I make music, all different kinds of music, but that is a way for me to...
He's really great.
Thank you. That is a way for me to also outlet my emotions, I guess, like to be able to put it into a form of art, because that's what music is. And yeah, just my life is really just centered around growth, eating healthy, working out, taking care of myself, the people around me, seeing new places, and writing music. And helping people, of course.
Of course. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Yeah, so the podcast itself is really, it started off as just something that we wanted to just get into. We didn't want to overthink it. So initially, we just wanted to focus on having meaningful conversations that were real around some of the struggles people have with fitness, with nutrition, with forming habits and disciplines and things like that. Mm-hmm. And through our own conversations, just working through client issues, working through some of our own challenges, and approaching it not only from an educated textbook kind of standpoint, but also from experience. And then we also have guests on that are that are experts in various fields, whether it be physical therapy, whether it be chiropractics, whether it be life coaching, spiritual life coaching, you name it. And we even plan to have guests on who are just regular people,
right?
And what it is like to be pursuing fitness from their standpoint, being a mother of two, and working and having that job, right? I think there's all this content on the internet focusing around people who have PhDs from Stanford or who are elite athletes. And I think there's a place here too for just regular people. And if you stay curious to learn about regular people, you find that they're not just regular people, that their stories are also fascinating and you can learn from them. And so
those people have the best stories usually.
Right? Because they're actually relatable.
Yeah, exactly.
You can empathize with it without too much difficulty.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea, just helping people through our conversations, through the things that we've learned over the years, but also through interviewing experts and regular people, and just kind of diving in on what makes them tick, what are some of the challenges, and working through them together. Do you have anything you'd add?
No, you nailed it.
You got to have a Nico, guys. Someone who's just going to boost you up. So anyways, thank you guys so much for being with us. We look forward to being on this journey with you and you being on it with us. And we can't wait to see you on the next one.